What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sean Sheehan, and I am back with another betting show as the PFL 2023 Championship season goes down this Friday night. And you know what? It's a really good card. I've covered a lot of the chasing pack, as we call it, this year and last year as well, and this is up there as one of the best cards that anyone has put on. There's been some very good Bellator cards this year, some One Championship cards, some Cage Warriors, KSW, Octagon, and all of that, but this is right up there with the very top. In fact, PFL have another good card coming up in a couple of weeks' time, which I will be in attendance at in Dublin, and the level of talent on that as well is really good. So fair play to PFL. They've put on some great stuff this year, and obviously the future is looking very bright. Since I recorded my PFL preview, please go and check that out, which I give you an in-depth preview of all the fights on the card. Obviously this is a betting show, so it'll be a little bit different, but it has been announced that PFL and Bellator have merged, and I suppose that's something I will talk about maybe in depth, maybe on another video here. But it's exciting times. I think a lot of people will probably be tuning in to the PFL this weekend to see what it's about. Maybe people who had watched a lot of Bellator and maybe first time PFL fans. So if you're one of those people watching this video, welcome. Please check out my full preview, as I said earlier on, because I have been covering the PFL and Bellator now every single card for the last 2 years for Sherdog, and beyond that as well over in Silveira and May. So I feel like I'm in a pretty good, unique position here. I've put probably more effort into looking at these fights than most people in the industry. So that's a good thing, and hopefully that will mean we can get a few good bets going as well this weekend. So let's get straight into that as an exciting time starts for PFL. First things first, though, we must just look back on last week. Not a bad week at all. There was 2 betting shows last week, so I had 8 normal bets, 2 flyers. The flyers, unfortunately, did not come off. In the UFC, the flyer was Paul Craig by submission. I caught him a couple of times. He didn't manage to get it. And then I had a treble over at Bellator, and that didn't go great. 2 of the 3 lost, so we'll forget about that. It was Pettis, Amasov, and Shabli. Shabli did win, but the other 2, unfortunately for the bet, did not. But what a performance from Patchy Mix. And my guy Jason Jackson, what a performance from him. Unbelievable there. But the other bets, the 4 from the UFC, first of all, with Michael Morales, who won. Check. Jordan Levitt lost, unfortunately. That was, again, a very fun fight, an evenly matched fight, and as I said last week, I bet the price, but unfortunately it wasn't good enough. McParkin won, probably a closer fight than I'd suggested, and that plus 350 price probably didn't look great coming out of there. But anyway, it's a winner on the ledger, and Amanda Hebas as well got the win there. I actually think I gave her to you at minus 235, and I think her price went in after that. And then in Bellator, we had a very good night as well. Unfortunately, the Mike Hamill fight, he lost that. He was up 2 rounds, and I actually tuned in as he was up 2 rounds, and then he got finished. But what a win by Tim Wilde, unbelievable. And then we had 3 winners: AJ McKee at minus 270, Cody Law at minus 225, and minus 110 Rafi and Stotts as well. So all in all, a pretty good ledger. Can't complain at all. And we will go again this week. So the overall betting record for this year, and the 2 betting shows last week, they've brought up my percentage there, because 6 out of 8 is pretty good. So let me just make sure this is right. It is 82 out of 165. So that's almost 50%. So I'm very happy with that. That was the range I was looking for. I'm almost at 50% there, and I've hit 13 of the flyers this week. We go to fight them this year out of 41. So I'm pretty happy with that as well. The 13 flyers, because I'm trying to give genuine flyers, and I've given a big flyer. I think this might be my biggest flyer of all this week. So we'll get to that in a second. And it's I'll give a bit of a spoiler. It's a championship accumulator flyer, because with PFL, and this might be a thing that'll change obviously with the new world we're in, but the odds come out pretty late, so we don't have prop bets as I speak. I've waited as long as I can obviously to record to get this edited and get it out and all, but money line bets here today, and a big parlay to come for the flyer of the week. Right, let's get into the bets. So, and the first bet I'm going for here in the PFL is in the championship fight, the light heavyweight championship fight, and I'm going for Joshua Silveira, who is the underdog here at plus 145. Now, looking at these prices, big price differential here between some places. On one place, he's 154, and another place, he's plus 130. So I've kind of gone in the middle there and taken the place we usually go for. So plus 145. As I said, we'll talk about that again next week, maybe if that jumps around and it changes. Look, I have really liked Josh Silveira since I saw him coming on the scene a couple of years ago in the PFL. You know, he came in on short notice. He took on, he was in the Challenger Series first, and then he came in short notice and took on Martin Hamlet. And I think before that one, I was obviously previewing the card, and I watched a good few of his fights. He fought in LFA, and, you know, obviously the LFA, and I think Titan as well he fought in maybe. They're pretty easy to find, so I watched a good few of those fights, and I kind of said to myself, this is a guy who will lose to very few guys in the PFL because he is so good. Now, he's one loss to Amari Akhmedov in the latter stages last year was, I think it was due to, you know, him being a younger fighter, pretty inexperienced. Like, the biggest fight he's had previous start had been the Martin Hamlet, you know, and he fought some good guys in the LFA and all of that, but still you need, I think, that top level experience. He's only 30 years of age now as well. His birthday's on Christmas Day. In fact, I just see here on Sherdog.com. So his birthday's coming up. Happy birthday to him. And it'd be great if he had 1 million of her, I suppose. But he's gone on to new levels, I think, this year again. Won 3 fights in a row and comes in here against Impa Kasanganay and in fine fettle. Let's put it that way. And Kasanganay then, you know, I suppose I'm going to do at the end of the year like a review of the whole year, but he's one of the stories, I suppose, of the PFL season. You know, there was, I suppose, a lot of negatives at the start of the year with some of the favourites losing, some of the how would you say it, some of the top fighters in the PFL failing drugs test and, you know, getting out of the tournaments. And he was one of the guys that came in and he really, really took his opportunity. You know, he had a fight against Corey Hendricks, which he won, submitted Tim Carn, and then that knockout of Martin Hamlet, you know, which it feels like, you know, Martin Hamlet's lost 2 fights now, but this guy is a hard out. You know, he's a hard guy to beat. And the fact that both of these guys beat him, it says a lot about it. But I'll talk more, obviously, if you haven't seen the preview, you know, to look at that more there, to break down the fight even further. But for me, the reason I'm going for Joshua Silveira is kind of twofold. I've gone full Don Davis there. He goes, I've got 2 reasons for that. Every single time he's talking, and I love it. Just 3 points on that. and it just gives himself time to think. I love it. But no, there is 2 reasons for this. The first one is, and I've said this multiple times now, and if Kasanganay goes out and gets the knockout again, I look stupid yet again as I did the last time, but his record, you look at his record, right? You think of Impa Kasanganay now, and if I was to tell you he had 17 fights, right, and don't, before looking up, and maybe it's on screen, so don't look at that side of the screen or whatever. How many knockouts do you think he's had in 17 fights? I think yourself there. You know, the 17. If I was thinking to myself, you know, I would probably think, I don't know, maybe 10. You know, what's his record of 14-3. Okay, maybe 8 or something like that, right? He only has 3 knockouts, and one of them was his last fight. So, you know, in 16 fights, he had 2 knockouts. He's not exactly the big knockout artist maybe that we think. Actually, going back and watching some of his fights before the last fight, and this one as well, he's actually a way better grappler maybe than remember and all of that, but also a very good offensive grappler. I think the defensive grappling, it's not that it's bad or anything like that, but I think someone like Silveira, who's so big and so strong, can hurt a guy like that. And like Kasanganay's 5'11", Silveira's 6'1", so there's not that much between them, but I think, you know, if they're to stand side by side, I think it'll look bigger than that. Silveira is a big guy and he holds it well. And I think that strength, that technique, his ability to kind of pull guys down and his jiu-jitsu will be a big difference in this fight. Like, I think Silveira's striking is good as well, but I do think he will need to get the fight to the ground. I just wonder if Kasanganay... So here's the key, right? That's point number 1. I think his striking isn't maybe as good as we maybe think it is. Now, having said that, big knockout in the last fight and all that, and can be dangerous. The second point is, I'm not sure his grappling is as good as Silveira's to stop him from getting him down. So those 2 points kind of meld together, because some people can get away with not having the best grappling game in the world, because if your striking is so good, your footwork, your movement, the grappling will never become part of it. And I don't know if that is the truth for Kasanganay. I don't know if he can make him pay enough to guarantee the fight stays on the feet. Now, maybe I'm wrong. He was able to do it against Martin Hamlet. Maybe it's horses for courses, and maybe it's the opponent. And Silveira, isn't a million miles away from Hamlet in terms of, what he is going to do. But honestly, when I heard of this matchup, or when I looked at this matchup and I looked at, okay, what's the betting going to be? I was expecting Silveira to be maybe minus 250, minus 200. And again, I say it every week, but I see the price, and you look at him, say up as far as plus 154, as I said, and that's a very hard price for me to turn down for a fighter I think is very good and has a very, very high top end. So I think he'll be able to get the fight to the ground. I think he'll be able to control on the ground. Could he get a finish? Maybe he can. And that's why I'm picking him, and that's why I think he'll win the fight. Joshua Silveira, the price I'm giving you is plus 145 there in that one. Right, the next bet is straight up Denis Goltsov. I've been a big admirer of Denis Goltsov's game for a good long while now. He is minus 225, which again I thought was a bit of a kind is maybe the wrong word to use here, but I do think that's a pretty good price for someone as good as Goltsov. And nothing against Impa. I actually think he's a very good fighter too. But Goltsov, he's just one of those guys that, maybe people don't acknowledge or know how good he actually is. He can do it all. He can fight in all realms. He can fight at all, I suppose, at all paces, in all different places. And it's not often you kind of see that in a heavyweight fighter, His opponent, is he the same? Like, I remember looking at one of my old notes for one of his fights. I goes, he's an athletic freak and he can do it all. But that's all well and good until you get taken to the ground and ground and pounded the way Goltsov does it. Like, you look at it, I spoke on the previous show about his finishing rate. 32 wins, 26 inside the distance. Now, 11 submissions, 15 knockouts. A lot of those knockouts, though, they're going to be TKO punches. They're going to be ground and pound. Like, I'm just looking through his record here, and I'll count the amount of TKO punches he said. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Submission to punch. Oh no, that's a loss. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. At least 10 of those 80. What is it? 15 are TKO punches. So you kind of guess what's happening there. Now, not maybe all of them are ground and pound, but you get what I mean. He does a lot of that as well. Look, Impa's nickname is the Problema, and 6'8". Hits like an absolute truck, moves like a Ferrari, gets off the line like a Tesla. He has it all. He has it all. He's really, really good, but you know what he is. Sometimes it's an advantage to know how good a guy is. In fact, it's always an advantage. The problem is when you don't know how good a guy is. That's when you get caught. But for Impa, look, he can't. Some people can hide how good they are, and like Volkanovski's a good example, right? A lot of people for a lot of the time didn't really acknowledge or know how good Volkanovski was, because it's maybe harder to decipher. You can't hide Impa's ability, like what he does, the size of him, the power of him, the speed of him, and all of that. It's impossible to hide. So the advantage there for Goltsov is he knows what to do. Weather that early storm. Don't get hit by a big teep. Don't find yourself on the end of his jab. Pick your timing right. Get inside. Take him down and win the fight that way. And that's almost as simple as I need to give you the reasoning for this bet. I think he will do exactly that. Look, we look at Ferreira's prices and stuff at the moment in a minute, but I just think it's such a hard fight for Ferreira. Now, if there's one guy in heavyweight MMA, apart from maybe, he's, let's say, top 2 or 3, Ferreira be one of them to get puncher's chance early knockout. I rate him that highly. I think he's that good. So this is not by any means a given, but I highly, highly, highly favour Denis Goltsov, and he's bet number 2 of this week. Bet number 3 of this week is an interesting one because I have moved my thinking on this one. On the preview show, I didn't necessarily pick Sadibou, but I said I was leaning that way. But having thought about it more, having listened to a few people speak about it, I'm going for Magomedkerimov. I also think that the price, Magomedkerimov's price is a bit different in a few places now. It's minus 143 at the moment, which is a very good price. For being honest, it's a fantastic price for a guy that good. Now, having said that, why was I leaning towards Sadibou? I was leaning towards Sadibou because I think Sadibou is a very, very good fighter. And I think his adjustments give him a real chance in a fight with Magomedkerimov, right? But the reason I've gone for Magomedkerimov is I just have to believe in his ability. Now, this is tough to do, right? Because last week I came on here and I said the exact same thing about Yaroslav Amosov, and I was wrong. He got destroyed by Jason Jackson. Another guy whose abilities I massively believe in. I've championed that man for years and years and years. I just thought Amosov was next level. And look, he didn't have the best night of his career. He could come back. I actually think he'd beat some of the best welterweights in the world. Still, it wasn't his night. Jason Jackson proved he is one of the best welterweights in the world. But having said that, I stand by what I said, right? And I thought I was right at the time. Turns out I wasn't necessarily right, okay? But that won't deter me from doing it again. Because if you're to second guess yourself every time, you'd pick the underdog every time, or you pick, you'd pick you wouldn't pick the guy who you think is unbelievably good technically every time, right? But you should do that. Now, sometimes you pick the puncher's chance and all of that, and I do that the odd time myself. This is a different sort of fight, though. This isn't a puncher's chance fight. This isn't a submitter's chance, as I like to say. This is two very good technical fighters who fight in a different way. So Sadibou, if anyone saw his fight with Rory McDonald last year, he fights on the outside and moves, and he's big and long and really good. I think they call him the Swedish Denzel, don't they? Isn't that the nickname? It's not here in Sherdog, but I believe that's what they used to call him before. But now he's added in knockout power to that as well. He's won by spinning wheel kick in his one of his fights this year. Another one was a finish with a knee and a bit of ground and pound after it. Split decision last time out against Carlos Leal Miranda, but that was a very close fight against a top fighter. So that's the way he fights. On the outside, loose, trying to be very defensive, but attacking more this year. Magomedkerimov is less of that. He's more down the middle, go at you, cut off the cage, punch you in the face, take you down, right? I said in the previous show, you get fooled by the name. His name is Magomedkerimov. You're probably thinking, this guy's going to be a wrestler, and he is a wrestler, but he's a very good striker as well. I believe he trains an American top team. He can strike, he can do it all. Like, he's only lost one fight in, how long is it? Since 2015. 11, 12 fights or whatever, and it was Ray Cooper, and there was a punch down the middle in the third round in a fight he was winning. This guy is unbelievably good. I think you'd very rarely get a price like that, minus 143 on Magomedkerimov. I think people are rating Sadibou as highly as he should be rated, but at the same time, that is, I'll say it again, that's a price you would very rarely get on someone that good. Minus 143, not quite even money, but it's not a million miles away from even money. And I was thinking to myself, that's not a price you give up. Like, that is not, you're looking at that, and if you're a big bettor out there or whatever, now bet responsibly, please. But that's one you're looking at afterwards, and you're kind of thinking to yourself, how did I leave that one behind me? So yeah, that's bet number 3 of the week. Magomedkerimov minus 143. I was surprised to see bet 4, and I was very surprised to see this line. Again, it's a line that shows respect to the PFL. It shows respect to the good PFL fighters. It's Derek Brunson at plus 150 against Ray Cooper. Now, again, as I said, Ray Cooper, very good fighter, deserves a lot of respect. You know, you look at Derek Brunson, I suppose, and it hasn't been the best run for him over the last while. He lost to Jared Cannonier and lost to Dricus Duplessis in his last two, got finished in both of them. Before that, he was on a great run, you know, had won 5 fights in a row, beating the likes of Kevin Holland and Darren Till. I suppose he wasn't, you know, the most active, only basically fighting once a year for the last good few years, although he fought twice in 2021. But Ray Cooper's kind of found himself in the same position. He's 30 years of age now, but he's had a lot of fights, you know, 34 odd fights, and he hasn't fought in a year. Gone up a weight class now as well after missing weight last year. That's a big thing for him. Like Brunson's a big enough 185er. You know, Ray Cooper, I don't think he was the biggest 170er in the world, but I think he won the million and he was like, oh, well, come on. But I think there are a lot of questions over Ray Cooper at this stage of his career. You know, there were talks of, you know, maybe would he moved on, gone to the UFC or whatever, but he decided to stay on, didn't go into the tournament this year or the regular season even, and decided to, you know, to have big fights. And this is certainly a big fight. I think this one is going to be a wild enough fight. And I was thinking, like, why is... I looked at the price and go, I'm picking Derek Brunson. It was one of those I have to pick him at that price. And I was thinking to myself, why, right? So I think 2 reasons. I think Derek Brunson hits very hard. And I think it's going to be a fight where both of them try to hit each other very, very hard. And it's almost the case, and not quite the case of give me the better price in that fight and I'll take that. It's not quite that. I just have a feeling the size might be an issue. I just have a feeling the timeout might be a little bit of an issue. And now, you know, people might say you look at Brunson, as I said, he hasn't been the most active, but he did fight in March against Dricus Duplessis, one of the top guys in the world. I just have a feeling for Brunson. I have a feeling that he's fought that type of fight, not the type of fighter, maybe that's the wrong thing to say, but if you look at your Darren Tills, your Kevin Hollands, your Shabazian, your good boxers, guys who are kind of powerful, and he's beaten him. Now you might say Dricus is the same, but not necessarily. I feel like he's going to land a big shot. I feel like he might get a takedown, and I just have a feeling. That's it. I just have a feeling towards him. I like the price, and I'm going for Derek Brunson to win his debut at plus 150. All right, here is the flyer of the week. It's a parlay. And these prices have moved over madly in the last few hours since I've even seen them, so please feel free to add it up yourself. What I have it as at the moment is plus 3470. So 35 to 1, let's call it that. Basically 35 to 1. And I'm going for a championship parlay, all the championship fights. Okay, here they are. Clay Collard. I'm going for Clay Collard. I'm going for Joshua Silveira, as I previously said. I'm going for Denis Goltsov, as I previously said. Also going for Pacheco, Magomedkerimov, and I'm going for Gabriel Braga. That was the hardest one for me. I'll talk about that in a second. But so Collard plus 215, plus 145 for Silveira. Goltsov minus 225. Pacheco minus 675, minus 143 for Magomedkerimov, and minus 138 for Braga. As I said, those prices are very much subject to change. But not your and maybe I won't even put this on the flyer record because it's not your traditional flyer, but it's. I think because it's a championship weekend, why not? Like it's cool. I think a lot of people, they have their coupons in the Premier League and all of that. Why not have a championship flyer? Put 2-3 quid in it or something like that. 35 to 1. You know, you could have 120 quid at the end of the day or whatever is your liking. Right. So we talked about Silveira, Goltsov, and Magomedkerimov. Let's talk about the other 3 briefly here. I suppose in order of ease. Let's put it that way. Larissa Pacheco, she's fighting Marina Makathina. Look, there isn't too much to say about that one. If you want to hear more about it, please check out the previous show. Makathina, very much a judoka type of fighter. Larissa Pacheco has basically spent the last 4 years preparing for someone who is much better than her, and I don't think there'll be much of a problem there. I think she'll go out. Now, Magomed's had a great run this year, no doubt about it. She deserves her place there, but I think Pacheco is going to probably run through her and win that one pretty comfortably. That's my call on that one. Will it be right? Hopefully. We'll see at the weekend. Then we have Clay Collard. Now, Clay Collard is the one that makes this a flyer here at plus 215. I did the preview show, and I was leaning both ways, and I kind of said Aubin Mercier, and I was doing another podcast, and this is a fight right that if I'm giving my picks straight up, I'll pick Aubin Mercier because I think he's the favourite, he's the likely winner here. But when I broke this down, when I was even talking through it on the preview show, when I was looking at their fights, I kept thinking to myself, I think Collard's going to win. I think Collard's going to win. And it's not like I favour Collard or anything. I honestly, I like both of these guys. I like their styles. I think they're both, funny and things like that. I like their personality. So I've no favourites. I've no dog in the race, let's say. But everything that I put into the computer there, the winner was coming out Collard all the time. And I'm like, why am I picking OSP so, right? I believe Collard's going to win the fight. I'm picking Collard. This might ruin the parlay. And if you think OSP is going to win, OSP, OAM. Did I call him OSP like 4 times? I think I probably did. Aubin Mercier. If you think he's going to win, feel free to switch this out. You'll probably get, what will you get then? 17-1 or something like that. Something a bit less maybe even. But I just like Clay Collard. I think he's going to be able to stop the takedown. I think even if he did get taken out, I think he could get on top maybe. I really like his boxing. I think he's powerful. He stays in fights even if he loses rounds. I like Clay Collard. Give me Clay Collard in that fight. Who's the other one? Gabriel Braga. See, this is the one. I went with all the championship fights, but if I could have left one out, I would have left that one out. I really like Pinedo. They fought earlier in the year. It was a very close fight. Obviously, Pinedo's come back and won twice. Since that, he's only 27 years of age. Knocked out Brendan Loughnane, knocked out Bubba Jenkins as well. What a run that was. But I think it might be a similar fight to the first fight. I think maybe the hands of Braga. Maybe Braga has, that undefeated 12-0 record. It means an awful lot. And, Pinedo, his submissions and his knockouts and his everything like that. But I think Braga might be just slightly more well-rounded in kind of a calm way, if that makes sense. Like, sometimes in a big championship fight that might go the distance, the guy that just has that extra bit of calm might pull through. So that's kind of the reason I have gone for him. But I don't think anyone will be shocked for me to say I'm not the most confident in this parlay, but there's the parlay anyway. Right, let's look through some of the other prices. So those are my 5 bets for the week. Let's look through some of the other prices. Jesse Stern and Josh Blyden. Stern is the favourite, minus 250 in that one. Then we've Bubba Jenkins, Chris Wade. I gave Chris Wade as my pick on the previous show, and I'm going to stick with that, plus 110 there. I think that's a pretty good price, minus 150 for Bubba Jenkins. But as I said, I was going to have that as one of my bets for the week. But you just never know with those two lads, especially Bubba. Like, if Bubba comes out and fights these utmost, he can beat anyone. But I think kind of the pace that Chris Wade puts on it, because he knows that if, against most people, if they get into a wrestling battle, he's going to win it. Now, Bubba might be slightly different, but they fought twice before. 1-1. I'm going to pick Wade based on the price as well. Then Collard over Mercier, plus 188 for Collard. Actually, I got him at plus 215. He's actually still there, plus 215 in one place, plus 200 as well in other places. Over Mercier is anywhere from minus 275 to plus 250. A bit wide for me. Bit wide. Goltsov and Ferreira, minus 225, plus 163. Obviously, we talked a lot about that. Magomedkerimov is a big favourite. She's out to minus 700 in some places now. It's Pacheco. Magomedkerimov plus 500 in some places, plus 350 in others. Magomedkerimov and C, plus 110 for C, 143 in the minus direction for Magomedkerimov. Kasanganay minus 175, plus 130, plus 154, plus 145 for Silveira. You can get him in between all of them. Then we've Kayla Harrison. She's a big favourite of Aspen Lad. Honestly, I think this is a bit of of too big of a favourite here. I wouldn't be betting her or putting her in an accumulator at this price. She's minus 800 in some places. Now, I do think she will win. I think she'll win pretty handily. But I saw Don Davis was on. He called this a tune-up fight for her. If I'm the Aspen lad and I'm listening to that, I'm thinking, I'm a tune-up fight for nobody. I'm going to go in here and give her hell. You know, she lost last time out and all. Look, I really like Kayla Harrison. I really rate her. I do think she will bounce back here. But Aspen lad is no joke. Aspen lad can fight, you know. Short notice and all that might be an issue as well. I'm not picking Aspen lad here, don't get me wrong. But I will definitely screen record this if she does win and act like I did pick her. There's Brunson Cooper. Brunson anywhere from minus 185 to plus 185 to plus 150. That plus 185, that's a big one. Minus 200-ish for Ray Cooper over here. Then Braga Pinedo. There's a couple of places here have this basically even, minus 138, plus 105. The Braga getting the minus 138 there. And then Wu and Karakapa is in the favoritism for Phil, as Wu was plus 170, minus 225. All right, let's recap the bets then. Joshua Silveira is bet number 1, plus 145. Denis Goltsov, minus 225 is bet number 2. Magomedkerimov, minus 143 to win the welterweight tournament. And then Derek Brunson at plus 150 to win his showcase fight against Ray Cooper, the third. And then we have a parlay: Collard, Silveira, Goltsov, Pacheco, Magomedkerimov, and Braga in the championship parlay for this weekend. All right, everyone, that's where I leave it. Thank you very much for tuning in throughout the whole PFL season. We will be back next year, hopefully, if I keep my job, to preview next year. Tell everyone, comment below. We want to see you back next year, Sean. Yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in all year, and we'll be back next week with more bets, more videos, and all of that here on Sherdog.com. I will leave it there. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.